Live from the Fox Den, this is Bad Guys on Bourbon. I'm Courtney B.
I'm Taylor DeYoung.
This is a show where we review comics, movies, pop culture, TV, film, bad guys, most importantly,
bourbon.
What we got today?
Get weirder.
All right, so you picked up Stillhouse.
Yeah, man.
I'll go ahead and pour it. Why don't you tell me a little bit about why you picked this up, seeing as how you're the one that
So I had it once
this.
before. I went to New York.
Yep.
And a friend of mine picked it up. He was like, "Have you ever had this?" I'm like, "No."
It's an interesting container. It's like
it's like a tin can.
Yeah. I'm into that.
It's I'm gonna pull it up. It's sponsored by rapper G-Eazy.
Okay.
If you're familiar.
A little bit, not incredibly so, but sure.
So I thought it was okay. I thought we should give it a shot.
Sure.
They're kind of a hip brand. So I feel like we're some hip guys. Let's drink some hip whiskey.
Love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. And what are we talking about today? What's the movie of choice? You kind of called this one out. This was something that was near and dear to you, so tell me about it.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Bam. I love that.
Love it.
Great. All right, why don't you get us started? Give us like a quick little synopsis.
Real quick.
Before we do that, hold on. Just the plate here is spoilers.
Yes.
Right? Spoilers are happening. They're pending. They're going to happen here
We'll do the
very
hand
soon.
thing. If you don't want to see spoilers, stop right now.
Correct.
And then come back to my hand once you want to see it again.
Yep.
Boom.
We're also not experts. That's like first and
I'm not an
foremost.
expert.
We're
I'm
not
just a
experts.
fan.
We don't remember every single thing. That's kind of why we have the computers here. I'm just going to put that out there. We're going to try to reference them as little as possible. But
we have no media training whatsoever.
Also forget things, so that's why they're there to keep us on track. But yeah, back to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Right.
So Into the Spider-Verse is a Spider-Man movie put out by Sony. In the influx of all the superhero movies, we get another one, but this one's different. We get an animated one.
Yeah.
It's about the African-American Spider-Man, a boy from Brooklyn named Miles Morales, who was bitten by a radioactive spider and becomes Spider-Man. But they took a twist with this movie, and what it does, it introduces a world of Spider-Man. Okay. And it shows him that he's not the only Spider-Man out here in the world.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, this isn't an original, like, this has been done before, the multiverse thing? Is that right? It was in a series previously?
Marvel's always doing multiverse stuff. But this movie actually was inspired by a Spider-Man arc that was done last year. I want to say, I can't remember who wrote it. But it involves Spider-Man teaming up with all of the different Spider-Men. So they use that kind of premise for this movie to tell the story of Miles Morales. So it's an origin story for all of these Spider-Men too, which is kind of cool. I'm big on, you know me, I'm big on the comic book stuff. So this is, and it's on the heels of just winning Best Animated Picture at the Oscars. So
yeah, kind of unseated Pixar, right?
Yeah, it did.
Kind of took the throne a little bit.
It did. Oh, let's get into the Stillhouse. Taste this real quick. Want to cheers it up? Josh?
All right.
Fact checking Josh is back.
Fact checking Josh, as always. I love that. That's great. That gets us kind of started here. So,
what's your impression?
My impression? It's fine. I gotta sit with it a little bit.
It's harder.
Yeah. And we'll follow it up obviously at the end of the episode and give it kind of a rating, but
not a bad taste though.
All right, so fun facts. You got a little list for us?
Yeah, we got some good ones, man.
Take me through.
I think
facts.
I want to jump this off with giving props to Stan Lee for creating Marvel, man. So,
rest in peace.
And apparently he's shot rest in peace, Stan Lee. He shot like so many cameos because he knew eventually he wasn't going to be around. So we are going to see him in a lot more movies. But what they did with the animated movie, they shot his voice for it, like he did the voiceover, and they reanimated him. So
his cameos are great, I think.
He has an awesome cameo where Miles, it's after the death of Peter Parker of his universe.
Yeah. And
they go to the memorial thing, and everyone is wearing a Spider-Man costume.
Sure.
Like a merchandise. Mm-hmm. And he goes into the store to buy one, and the clerk is Stan Lee.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't remember.
He had some really good lines about the suit,
and
that it will always fit the right person.
Right.
It always fits right.
It always fits. That's what he says.
That was cool. I did like that.
And he puts on his toddler-sized Spider-Man costume and goes to the memorial.
Yeah.
It's the movie's great, man. It's full of jokes. It's just a fun ride. Introduces us to a lot of characters. Another fun fact. Oh, my fun fact was Stan Lee. He had He had two cameos, not one. The second cameo is an Easter egg, and I didn't know this until one of the sites. I want to say it was Screen Rant or something like that pointed it out. Okay. And they're like, there's multiple Stan Lee cameos, and one of them is when Spider-Man, Miles, and he first finds the new Peter Parker from the other universe, and they're holding onto their web shooters, and the train is just like going. Mm-hmm. He's sitting in the train. So if you slow it down, you can see him. He's sitting in the train. You pointed this one out to me. 180 different animators on it.
Yeah, apparently it was the most animators that Sony has ever used in one of their animated films. So I thought that was a pretty cool call out. It certainly makes sense. I feel like given it seemed like a technical marvel by no pun intended.
That's a staff.
It was an incredible film, so it makes sense. I mean, it seems like it would require
a lot of people.
I
saw a stat that was like something, the amount of hours put in would equal up to about 4 years of creation or something like that. So that was cool. Yeah, what else we got here? So they pay homage to all the Spider-Man.
Yeah, kind of in the beginning, they have a couple of those calls.
That's where I was going. So at the end, of course, with Marvel, if you sit through the end credits, they introduce Miguel, who is Spider-Man 2099, who, if you're really into comic books, he's the Spider-Man from the future. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he gets some device, he goes back in time, and then he sees the Spider-Man from the cartoon in the 60s. And then they kind of do like a joke of pointing at each other. And then that's I don't know if you've seen it, but that's a meme about the Spider-Man pointing at each other. Yeah, so they really touched on all parts of the Spider-Man culture, man, with this film, which was great. We got a clue of this movie back in 2014 because somebody got their emails hacked.
Sony.
So we knew this was coming. We didn't know it was going to be this great, though. Yeah. The film was definitely dedicated to Steve Ditko, Stan Lee. Oh, you sent me this, man. The Air Jordans. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah, the retro OG origin story sneakers were inspired by the Jordans that Miles wears in the film. Yeah. So if you watch it, point that out. Last one here. Spider-Ham.
Ooh, I like this one.
So good.
I thought this was great. This is such a good addition to the cast, I thought. Fantastic.
So there are two interesting facts about Spider-Ham. He's not a ham. He was a spider that was bitten by a radioactive pig. Correct?
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's not a pig who was bitten by a radioactive spider, but rather a spider that was bitten by a pig.
Okay.
And
I like that.
Spider-Ham is voiced by John Mulaney, one of my favorite comedians. And apparently he didn't know that this was going to be rated PG, correct?
Yes, I read this. And then his original read-through, it was full of
vulgar. Yeah, just letting them fly.
Cussing and doing all kinds of stuff. Just because he wasn't aware that it was supposed to be rated PG. first impression after seeing it, like a hot take. Before we get into like some questions, did you like
really get into it? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like it?
My first impression of the film. I did like it, man. I thought it was fresh. The animation is really dope. They I've never seen anything like it. Mm-hmm. Let's just start there. I've never seen anything animated in this way. It was animated in layers, and then it was also animated like a comic book, if that makes sense. Like you have to see it. I hope everyone that is watching this has watched it, so you kind of know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And we're definitely going to get into more spoilers. They would have like think bubbles, like when Miles is talking to himself, especially when he first got bit and he runs into Gwen Stacy, and he has that awkward moment.
For sure, it's heavily influenced by like comics and kind of just the format and the panels, and it's much more so than I think any other comic book film has. Like I know we talked a little bit about Unbreakable having some kind of nods to how comic books were like storyboarded.
Comic book.
This is just like you're very much watching a comic book, like animated. Like and that sounds weird, but it's very much that. It's very interesting how they did it.
It's the first film to get the comic code of authority.
You mentioned this. I did not know.
This was a thing like back when comic books came out,
explain that
where people could go and buy comics and they would see this seal. It was like a seal of approval that you could buy this for your child, and they're not going to read it and see like
and nothing
or something.
explicit.
Yeah, exactly. So it was this is the first animated film to get that seal of approval.
Interesting.
Yeah, man, it's real cool. They really touched on it. Like this is full-fledged all comic book stuff here.
Yeah.
I thought it really tugs on your strings a lot. It plays on all of the different emotions. Like I forgot I was watching a Marvel movie. I thought I was just watching a really good cartoon movie, man. It really plays on the feels. It plays on the nostalgia of being a kid. You know what I mean? It was being 14, 15, going through school. They got real personable. Like it's rare that you watch a cartoon and kind of not feel like you're watching a cartoon. Like, oh damn, I'm really watching people. I didn't feel like that since Toy Story.
Yeah, I think it's really tough to step into like the animated like arena and hold your own, just because of how dominating Pixar has been for so long. DreamWorks has really been kind of killing it too.
What's it? They did Up. And
there's just so many of them out there that are just like staples, like they're temples.
That's just what it is.
Incredibles or Toy Story or
Life of Pets, the new stuff. Yeah.
There's so much out there. So to kind of come into that and really bring something new and fresh from like just an animation standpoint is very unique. And to see it as widely accepted as it ultimately was, like I thought that was really interesting. So many people were okay with that. Like it feels like the kind of thing that would have a smaller market than it ultimately did. Like when I was watching it, I was like, I can't believe so many people bought into this. Like it's fantastic. It's great.
The cast. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, we got Mahershala Ali.
Yep, Nick Cage is in there.
That blew me. I was like, yo, it blew me away. Nick Cage.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have him back.
Spider-Man Noir, who is Spider-Man from another dimension, and he's very noir dramatic.
Yeah.
I burn matches to the end.
That was fun. I loved how they wrote his character. I thought John Mulaney did a really good job too. He was hilarious.
Did a great job. Lily
really
Tomlin is Aunt May. Yeah, man, awesome lineup.
So,
what was your first impression?
I loved it. I thought it was really great. I did. I enjoyed it.
Good.
No big complaints. There are a few things here and there. Yeah. I'm going to get into it a little bit towards the end of the episode, but nothing really stand out. I was thoroughly impressed, like throughout. Enjoyed it.
Awesome.
We'll get more into that. So let me throw a question at you. We talked a little bit, kind of briefly touched up against this, but is a game changer for animation, right? I think you were saying that this is like the first big change in animation since Toy Story 3D. Do you think that is it going to live on? You think Sony Animation is going to push forward on this animation style, not necessarily the story, but take this and apply it to or Marvel for that matter? Like, will Marvel apply this to other things? Like, will we get other Marvel characters in a similar format?
You just won Best Picture. I say do it.
Or is it limited to the fact that it's like Spider-Man and Sony, do you think? I feel like there could be
So
like
Sony is
issues
apparently getting a patent for that animation style,
that makes sense.
right?
I would see
So if they're going that far as to do it, yes, they are definitely on the. There's already talks of a sequel. So if you have a sequel, it has to be shot like that or created
makes
like
sense.
that. But if it's shit, man, if it's winning Best Animated Feature, what other stories can you tell like this?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like imagine.
Yeah, it seems to be a formula that works. So
Yeah.
yeah.
They, if you delve outside of the Marvel landscape and kind of get into original stuff, I'd see it just to kind of be interested in what other stories they tell with this style.
I enjoyed it a lot. I'd be interested in whether they decide to protect it a little bit and reserve it for something like that. For Spider-Man, for example.
And it would just be.
It would be kind of a
Spider-Man.
bummer if they took it and
Just
extorted it or like ruined it. You know what I mean? Like applied it to like everything, and it just wound up not working as well.
yeah.
You know?
I see
don't
what
know.
you're saying. Yeah. Kind of get tainted, and then it's not as good.
Yeah.
Start seeing it everywhere. I don't want to see that style on TV. I want that to be reserved for like large animated features, like in the movie theaters, because it plays well, being that large.
All right. What else you got? Throw another question my way. While I
You said
pour this out a little bit.
Green Goblin is massive.
Well, he's not the only character that's massive. I
Yeah.
found this also interesting, and maybe this is a comic book thing, I'm not sure, but a lot of the characters were like the size of houses.
Just
And no one thought this was
enormous.
interesting or unusual. Like all the characters, like relatively speaking, normal sized, and then Kingpin is like a semi truck. Like he's massive,
huge,
right?
what is
that all about? Is that like a thing?
Sometimes he's drawn like that in the comic books, like just incredibly massive.
Okay.
So it kind of worked for the movie when it wasn't front facing.
Mm-hmm.
When it's front facing, his head is like here.
Yeah.
But if he's on an angle, it's on the top of his body, and you can just kind of see it. When he's animated from the front, it didn't really work.
Okay.
But I didn't really see a problem with it. But I see what you're saying.
What about Green Goblin though?
So that version of the Green Goblin is incredibly huge like that.
Okay, so before we go down that avenue,
Yeah.
Green Goblin.
Green Goblin.
There's a couple of like Green Goblins, right?
Yeah.
Or Goblin.
So the premise of the movie again is we're dealing with multi-dimensions, multiverses, right? And in this iteration, in Miles' story, the Green Goblin is like a mutate of
the size of the house.
Right.
Sure.
In the Peter Parker version we're all familiar with, Green Goblin is his best friend's dad. He just wears a suit and he's green. And then Gwen Stacy's version of Green Goblin was Peter. No, it was the Lizard. I'm sorry. Her version of Green Goblin, I can't remember. But it's always a different type of character.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, like, even because wasn't if we're going back to like Tobey Maguire days.
Yeah, I'll take it back. And they pay homage to that one too, man.
They do. But there's like two variations of the Green Goblin, or is that the same thing? Like, isn't there like a Green Goblin, and isn't there something else, like another character that's like similar to that?
That's green.
Hobgoblin?
Hobgoblin, yeah.
Okay,
Hobgoblin.
that's what I'm
haven't
thinking.
seen him on
There's
film yet,
multiple
yeah.
goblins. Is that what he's called or no?
This one, it's Green Goblin. He's the.
But Hobgoblin's not appeared in any
and
movie,
you're correct.
or he was in Tobey Maguire.
We haven't seen him yet.
Haven't seen him
At all.
But it is another goblin.
There's another goblin.
In the Spider-Man
Right.
thing. Great.
Yeah,
Okay. I love that.
All
right.
I'm gonna take you comic book shopping with me one day. I'm gonna get you a good one.
That would be great. I would enjoy
Let
that.
me get you into it.
It's been a while. I used to buy Hellboy comics relatively regularly, or with some
Got some after hours
consistency.
talk about Hellboy.
But yeah, it's been a while since I've been to a comic book store. All right. Let's see. Does it do all of the Spider-Man justice? You think it like holds its own in the realm of Spider-Man? I mean, it seems like people are, for the most part, very passionate, one way or the other, about every single iteration of Spider-Man. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Tobey Maguire, I feel like, has recently become cool, but was
Again,
for a long
right.
time was super not cool, right?
Yeah.
Or was it like in the beginning where
It
people
was
always into it? I thought the first one was fine, but then I thought it kind of increased.
1 and 2 do it for me, and then 3 I just kind of felt like it was a shit show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And then we got to
What's his name?
The Amazing Spider-Man, which was gosh, what was his name?
You're a doppelganger.
That's right. All right, we'll get back to that. Checking Josh is pulling it up right now.
No, that's
Andrew
most
Garfield.
recent.
Andrew Garfield, that's the guy.
Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
So people were kind of weird about. I feel like I'm gonna get like destroyed over this. I actually really enjoyed the first
them.
Amazing Spider-Man. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was great. I know that there was like.
I had no problems with it.
Received a lot of like hate.
None.
I feel like.
I like
but
it.
then we move on to Tom Holland, and that seems to be like the fan favorite right now.
The standard right now. I think because
people are obsessed with Tom Holland and his
Love it,
Spider-Man.
man.
It is great. I will admit. Like I do enjoy it a lot. I think it has gotten better with each iteration. Is my opinion.
And I think where Into the Spider-Verse stands out, we're not getting another spin cycle of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I said this, I was like, if I gotta watch Uncle Ben die again,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can take it. Like I can't keep watching Uncle Ben die.
Yeah, it is good that they've kind of caught on to that. And they're not like rehashing that like story so many times. The origin story has been told so many times.
Right.
So it's great that they've done away with that. I'm really glad. I actually made notes about that a little bit as I was watching the movie.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to... Like, I am a little tired of watching, and this is one of the things that I don't like about the movie. I am a little tired of watching Spider-Man figure out how to be Spider-Man.
It'd be nice to jump into a story like this, where he's Spider-Man. I love seeing 30-year-old Spider-Man with a gut.
I just want to get into it. I'm tired of spending like the time figuring out
the whole first and second.
How do I swing from building to building? Which I thought they were going to eliminate that a little bit, like when we were getting into this.
Yeah.
And they do kill some of the origin story, but he still has an origin story. It's just
So
not the normal origin story. So it's a little bit of a bait and switch in that sense. And I found myself being like, come on, man, just let's get to the meat going, right? Yeah. But it was nice that I had the other characters that kind of helped move that along. Yeah, so it's a small complaint, but a complaint nonetheless. Like I did think that.
Yeah, I had a few. Yeah, but
while we were watching it, so
whatever comes up next though might be much quicker to get to the actual meat and potatoes. Now they've introduced the other Spider-Man.
But I always feel like I gotta wait for the second one to really just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know.
I would totally feel you.
Like I've seen the Spider-Man origin story so many times.
This would be movie number 6 that we've seen origins. That we know he's been bitten. We know that he's Spider-Man. So I can empathize. Yeah, totally. What'd you think of Prowler?
I loved Prowler. Are we getting into the villains now? Is that what we're doing? We're gonna transition?
No, it's actually my last question here.
I feel like it's a good segue though.
It's a good. Let's do it.
But ask it. This is a transition into villains.
We're gonna talk about the bad guys. Why you come here?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think this movie did a fabulous job of giving us multiple villains.
Okay.
Kingpin is. Well, first of all, Spider-Man has a rogues gallery that's unlike. The only person that can really rival his rogue gallery is like Batman. As far as villains are concerned, you can do multiple iterations of Spider-Man and introduce a new villain, a new take on it. But what they did different with this one is they brought in all of the villains from the different universe and showed us those iterations of them. But the only one that stayed the same was Prowler, who is Miles' uncle, Uncle Aaron. Mm-hmm. You said he was scary.
I thought they did a really good job of making him scary. Like in the movie, that's the sound that they use.
Oh, when his visor's on, it's like making like a...
Yeah, and I read somewhere that it was like an elephant or something. It was like an elephant's, trunk, and they morphed it a little bit, but that the idea was they wanted it to be like sad sounding. An elephant has like a sad sound to it.
He was intense.
Anyway.
He was very intense.
I thought it was pretty scary. Like it was intimidating when he came into the room. Like that was the first character. I think probably the only character that I felt like, oh man, like this is kind of like we're in this right now.
Yeah. If he catches him, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, I thought he was a great villain. I really enjoyed him. I would say that I think Doc Ock
I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah.
Did not.
Did they reference her as Dr. Octopus at any point? Or is it,
No, remember, like, apparently when Miles...
Because that's like the original name, right?
Well, no, it's Otto Octavius.
Okay.
Is the original Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man and what?
Correct, but wasn't the original like villain name based upon like Dr. Octopus or no?
Yeah.
Given the fact that he had all the tentacles and
Yes,
stuff, right?
yes,
But I
right.
don't think they ever reference her as Dr. Octopus. I think they always reference her as Dr.
Yes, they do. When they break into Alchemax and they're trying to steal the computer.
Okay.
And she finds Peter, and Peter's like, and she's like testing him. She like sits him down in the chair, whatever, and then she's like, "Live," and live Octavia, and then the tentacles come out, and she's like, "My friends call me Dr. Octopus,"
Gotcha.
and then Peter's like, "Oh, duh, makes sense," or something like that, something of that nature.
All right.
I could be wrong. In the comments, let me know, but I believe that's what happened. I haven't bought the film yet to watch it again at home, but I will. And if someone comments and proves me wrong, we'll send you something.
Great.
Doc Ock.
Yep.
You said you're glad she's a female.
It was surprising because I wasn't expecting it,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed that little like kind of twist. I thought that was great. I thought her character was really good. I thought the voice acting was really good.
Lily Tomlin was the...
I think she was
Aunt May.
Aunt May, yeah. I just thought it was really well done. I thought she was great.
It was such a surprise. It was great.
That's where, for me, and this might be harsh, my praise ends. Because I thought the other villains...
The henchman?
I didn't like the henchman.
Tombstone? We've
Didn't
never
like the
seen
henchman.
him anywhere.
Didn't like Kingpin. I thought that Prowler was great. I thought everything about him was awesome. Animation of him was great. Sounds were great. I liked the twist, although I felt like it was a little too close to Homecoming.
With
the sense that it was the family member. That was the twist, right? And I feel like that was kind of...
Well, that is his story. I guess... I don't know if you can do...
You're the expert here as far as that stuff is concerned. So maybe this is more accurate or more in keeping with...
It is.
The series.
I can totally see where you're coming from. I mean, it's definitely part of his mythology. And if you don't know Miles' mythology and you watch The Homecoming, Donald Glover plays Aaron in it, and he mentions his nephew. I don't know. I think that was kind of their ammunition. Like, yo, we could make a film just off that reference,
sure.
and people would go see it. So, I mean, it could have been Sony just kind of really trying to lay it home.
I'm not upset about it. I'm not calling it out to say I'm upset about it. I just, when I saw it, I was kind of like, oh, it's like Homecoming. Like that's where I first went when that happened. That like reveal came out. That's instantly what I thought. But I thought Prowler fantastic. Dr. Ock was great. Doc Ock, however we're saying it. Thought that was fantastic. I thought Kingpin was a letdown. He was just like he's just Kingpin. He's kind of boring.
He's not a interesting person. He's just supposed to be.
The puppeteer pulling the strings.
And
I get that. I just want
to have this domineering, scary persona.
Yeah, not for me. Didn't work for me. And then the henchman didn't really get enough focus to.
We saw him in that one fight scene. Yeah.
I don't know. They seemed very henchman-esque. They were written like
you know what I mean?
Like there was not any depth or like much more. Like they would just kind of come into
those henchmen were for
There's a lot
comic
of
themes. Those were for people who knew exactly who they were.
Yeah. I'm not upset about that. I just they didn't linger with me as the others did.
Poor Kingpin.
Poor Kingpin. Listen, somebody will get Kingpin right one day.
I don't think he's too bad in the live action on the Daredevil, but Vincent D'Onofrio. Better.
But not like...
Oh, he's not as bad as...
I don't know. I want
what's his name?
him to be terrible.
From the first Daredevil movie. Oh. Does it need a sequel?
Oh. I'm not sure how they set it up in the end. There was, I feel like, a nod to the universes still being connected.
Yeah.
I think if I'm reading that right, I think it would definitely seem as if a sequel is on the way.
I think they did a good job.
At least they set themselves up for it, and I think
just setting yourself up. You don't have to.
Correct.
But
and it was so successful. Like I can't imagine those guys aren't getting greenlit to make another one. I'm okay with it. Like I think it's fine. I think it's fun. I'd like to see it happen. I'd like to see us go there.
I don't.
You don't want to see a sequel?
Nope.
Okay.
You told the story and it was great. And I have this beef with a lot of franchises. Everything doesn't have to be a trilogy.
A series.
You know, a series.
Multiple.
Just let it be a great movie and let it stand alone, and you can tell another story. Tell another great story like that stands on its own, and just do it that way, man.
What about turning this into live action?
I think we've finally gotten a really good iteration of a live action Peter Parker, so it'll be I think if we're gonna do Spider-Man again in 4 to 5 years, I'd like to see Miles.
I'm not like, what if I guess it could be 4 to 5 years, but so the next Spider-Man comes out, right?
It'd be Miles?
No, I'm saying like the next one comes out, you get through that.
Right.
I'm assuming Tom Holland
He's gonna get a third,
a third, if not longer. He's like 12. He's got like enjoy life. He's Spider-Man.
Right.
Third one comes out. Maybe maybe that ties in. Like maybe they bring that theme over and we get a bunch of Spider-Man. I'm wondering if you think Marvel is going to try to capitalize off this in more ways than one. Because as successful as it was, I was looking at the numbers earlier, and as successful as it was as an animated film, it's not pulling in the numbers that the live actions do, right? And I have some of those numbers. So let me pull some of them up, right?
Yeah,
so this Spider-Man, the animated one, right, made $188 million roughly.
Yeah, it came
as
out
of
Christmas.
as of now. That will change because I think they re-released it in theaters. But 188, right? Let's go with that for right now. Homecoming made $334 million. Amazing Spider-Man, $262 million. The original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, $403
$500 million.
Right? So these numbers, like these live action numbers, are still not being like they're not being overcome, right? Like there's still a threshold for animation, it seems like, or at least for Sony, that they're kind of not getting into that realm of. I mean, Black Panther made $700 million, and that's an outlier in a sense, but still. That's a lot. This one, like
by itself. This one, I'll say
this one best animation.
This film does stand by itself.
Still under 200.
I say, if you have the opportunity, bring it over, blend them, like cross them, and see if you can get some synergy there.
Yeah.
But it's also a different film. Like, you see Spider-Man, you're used to seeing Peter Parker. A lot of people who don't follow comic books, or the casual moviegoer, just like good movies, or you're just a fan of the Spider-Man movies, you see, Spider-Man and it's not Peter Parker, you're like, huh?
What about the next movie being another Spider-Man in the multiverse?
Like the Spider-Gwen, or
right?
Yeah.
That would be cool too. Like, if they're gonna do another animated one, do one of them.
But are you saying live action, or are you saying?
Yeah, I'm thinking live action.
So, like, instead of bringing Tom Holland back for 3, you bring somebody else back in as like one of the other Spider-Man. I think at some point though,
this movie,
you'd have to establish though a connection. I think at some point in the live action, I don't think you could just show up with another Spider-Man.
He's just there.
Like, I think at some point Tom Holland and this, like, a transaction would have to happen, like a passing of the torch a little bit, where like we at least get the idea that this is Tom Holland still exists, but this is just another Spider-Man.
And as I said earlier, then you could skip the whole origin story.
Perfect.
I love skipping.
Oh yeah, just go right into the movie.
Idea.
I'd like to see a female Spider-Man. Or
I think
a Spider-Woman. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I loved her, like, character, look, all of that. I thought that was all great.
Awesome.
I thought she was like a little, like, scene, like they kind of like dialed into that, like she was like a punk, right? Like, you kind of had.
She was in a band.
That was scaled up a little bit, but all. I mean, all,
South
I really
African.
liked it. Does this though? Do you think what happens in the animated universe, if you will, is tied into what's happening in the live action? Like, do they impact one another, or are they totally separate things?
They are totally separate.
Okay.
They're gonna find a way to connect them.
You've read that as like that's their plan, or you're speculating?
It won Best Picture. They're gonna play nice with each other, Marvel and Sony right now. They're gonna play nice and see if they can make some more money together. Like they got Marvel's doing the Tom Holland. Now they got this. Let's try and milk it a little more. Why not? You know what I mean?
Now they're not directly.
Right
linked,
now, no.
But we're thinking that it could happen.
Yeah, and then we're dealing with some multiversal things happening in the next Avengers movie, which could really work.
I kind of thought maybe something would pop up there, but it's also like they couldn't have known that this would be as much of a success. So like I can't imagine that the tie-in would have happened already. But I thought that a little bit with all the kind of multi-universe stuff that's taking place likely in Endgame, right?
Yeah, Spider-Man.
That would happen.
3 has been announced yet. Marvel really has like a clean slate for 2020 with no movie scheduled.
Well, I feel like here's the thing. They have, and this is going down a rabbit hole, they're in progress. Like, the movies are there. They're being made.
All I gotta do is say
they're not announcing them.
Yeah.
They're all being done under, like, secret names.
Yeah, you wouldn't know unless you saw the email.
Sure.
Right.
Boom.
The heck.
But they can't release who's going to die and who's not going to die in Endgame. So, like, if you have Iron Man 4, then you know Tony is likely going to make it out.
Yeah, somehow.
Or whatever. Like, there has to be some sort of secrecy about what is happening after Endgame just to preserve
that.
Like, they got to hold some cards, right? They got to keep them close to the chest a little bit. So I think that the roadmap for what Marvel's doing is likely well laid out.
Just keep it all
It's just
hush.
very hush-hush. And once Endgame drops and we know the outcome of a lot of those long-standing characters, I think we'll get a little
2021 summer.
Yeah, I think we'll get some more insight as to what we're gonna, what's coming down the pipe, right? So, all right. Well, you're not in for a sequel. I am in for a sequel.
I don't want a sequel.
So you're done.
I'll enjoy
I
the
would
sequel,
go back.
But no, I don't. I think they leave it alone and just kind of tell another story. Tell Spider-Gwen's story. Like go to her universe and tell, there's a whole another roster of characters that they could go into and make us fall in love with.
Do you think Sony's done with live action? Or do you think...
I think they hit one out the park. Stay
with
here.
With animated. Right?
Yeah, stay here. This is where you play now. Because you've given us Spider-Man movies and they just, they were good, but they weren't this and they're not what Tom Holland's in either, right? They still fall short. You have got lightning in a bottle right there. Yeah. Play on it. Don't ruin it, but see what you can win with over there. Stick to the animated realm. That's my call on a sequel.
With that, I love that.
How many bottles of whiskey do we give it? That's pressure because it won the best film in the world, best animated film in the world.
Best film in the world of all time.
I'll go.
Yeah, you go first.
I'm gonna give it. When we do this out of 5, correct?
Out of 5.
Out of 5, I'm gonna give it.
That's been the trend.
4 and a pint, so it's like 4.3. Because
create a new animation for that.
Yeah, 4 is. Reason being, I didn't like how Peter Parker died. He's Spider-Man. He always gets up and then Kingpin punches him in the chest and he dies.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I'm
Didn't do it for me.
with some people dying.
He needed to die. I thought the way they did it, he's Spider-Man. You sell us on him always getting up. I'm Spider-Man. I always get back up.
It is kind of a running theme
right?
in a lot of the other movies.
And then he just punches him in the chest and now he's dead. Get rid of the body. 4.3. Still a great movie.
All right.
But that was the one part that did it for me.
I'm going to go 4.
Okay. So we're close.
We're close. I thought it was... I mean, I just think from an animation standpoint, I think it's absolutely fantastic.
That gets it 3 off the bump.
Oh my gosh. It's so much fun to watch that.
My favorite call out
Yeah.
about it being fun is when they're Peter and Miles are leaving. They're running and they go like, I'm gonna walk through here. I'm gonna grab a bagel.
Yeah.
And then the scientists are like, Spider-Man. They all grab their guns, so they jet out the back door. Spider-Man throws the bagel back and it hits one of the scientists in the head, and then goes bagel. So it was just a fun watch, man.
Oh, like an
It was like bagel.
Yeah, I love that. It's great.
Yeah, man.
I thought the text bubbles were great. There were like plenty of little jokes hidden throughout, like you were saying, the bagel thing, and it was fun. I thought it was great.
Even if you're not into comic books, just fun to watch.
I like to see Pixar,
Get into
it a little bit.
Didn't really sell me on Incredibles 2. So.
No, well, Pixar needs a little like something, right?
Yeah.
Like come back around. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. So I enjoyed it. High marks. A few things I disliked about it. Which brings us to the whiskey. Stillhouse. We've had a couple glasses now. We're in it a little ways. Josh, why don't you go ahead and start us off here with a grade? Why don't you tell us what you think here?
A through F.
I would love
for
to
the
know.
Stillhouse.
I'm interested.
This is their black bourbon.
There are a few others. This is the black bourbon.
Yeah, it was. It's got a good aroma. It has a little sweet kind of smell to it, but it is a very harsh kind of.
It's
flavor.
hard. It sits hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as smooth.
Correct. But it's also not. It's also not bad. I mean, it's kind of difficult to say. Like, is F like turpentine or is F like?
Okay, so like F is you wouldn't buy it.
F is you would not buy it at all.
F is you would not buy it.
I would.
D is real.
I would say it's probably a C then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're
For
putting
me.
it in the C
I'm gonna say a
category.
C.
Let me ask this question: What is
C plus.
What does this cost? This
This
$3.75.
pint of Stillhouse
Yeah.
black bourbon was
What did this run?
$13.
$13. Okay. All right.
So which would make a fifth, maybe around $20, like Jack, like a.
I mean, I think $13 for this quantity and this, like, again, I don't think it's fantastic. Like, C is a pretty good
I think C,
place for it to
yeah.
be. But for $13, that almost brings it up a little bit, just given the fact that it's as cheap as it is. Like, $13.
You can get a nice little buzz.
Yeah.
And it looks cool. I like the way it looks. Yeah.
More than a nice little buzz.
It is 100 proof, right? Is it 100
Is
proof?
it?
Is that what it is?
I stand by it. I think a C is a good rating. I'll go there. Although I think
80.
that
80, okay.
I would say honorable mention, given the fact that it's $13. I think that's great. There's not tons of whiskeys that are at that price point.
That are
And it's
okay
it's
at
okay.
taste.
Yeah.
I think it floats around like the Jack Daniels, Jameson kind of shelf area.
All right.
I'll give it a C plus.
Very good. Well, we'll take one more sip, we'll toast it out, and then we'll wrap this episode up. That's it for Bad Guys in Bourbon on episode, what is this? 3.
3.
Yeah, episode 3.
Episode Trace. Thanks for joining us. Follow us on everything.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe, like, share, all those
Hit
good
the little
things.
bell so you never miss our faces.
Indeed.
Never miss Josh's voice.
All right, boys
And tune in and see what we're drinking and talking about next week. Bad Guys and Bourbon.
All right.